Oops. Oh shit, we can do it at the same time. Alright guys, I'm excited for this video. Okay, so I watched a recent I watched a Joe Rogan podcast recently. It was with Peter Attia. I don't know if I'm saying that name right, but this guy was talking about marathons, pushing the physical body to its limits, near death essentially, to get the marathon experience done. Tour de France, pushing athletes to the limit. Okay, and he had shared this idea with the listeners, and with me, of course. And this is not, I think, originally from him, but it's a great idea, and it's fucking beautiful. This is a new, fresh idea in my life, so I'm still observing with this new perspective. I'm using this perspective and observing life just to see if it fits, just like a physical, scientific experiment. We have this hypothesis. Observe life like an experiment. If the theories or if the hypothesis continues to be correct or proven true, then the foundation of life can be walked upon. So here's the idea. It makes sense to me so far. It seems like emotions. Okay, emotions themselves are like a velocity, while the feeling of emotion is like acceleration. Just like in a plane, you may be flying 300 miles per hour, but you may not even be noticing it. However, if it accelerates or decelerates, you notice that change. And so it seems to me like you could be happy and not even feel it, because you're just happy. And this might be why everybody tends to say good when people ask how are you, because we're used to being normal. And that's okay, truly. Whether it's a happy being normal, it still feels normal. It still feels baseline to some extent. Or your life is just a shithole, seeming from one perspective, and you're just challenged in your way, and it's just fucking you're becoming a machine in that way. Your response is probably just good. Or maybe it's good with a sigh on it, but it's still just your velocity that you're just living life with. It's like a velocity. You don't really notice it. However, when you have that one day that's just, let's say you're in the shitstorm right now, and you have that one day that is just glorious. That's probably the best day in your whole fucking year. You feel that change based upon you feel that great change based upon the great expanse that was before it, And the reason this guy was talking about this, I think the origin of where he experienced this is absolutely beautiful, and it's to the lengths of human experience. He was having this realization in the middle of the ocean, swimming like 20 miles from one island to another. And he through these experiences of taking spans of time that just are treacherously hardcore, and walking up onto that beach after pushing yourself for 10 hours straight, literally swimming 10 hours straight, 12 hours, 15 hours. Imagine the feeling with that great expanse of challenge, washing up upon the shore in that moment, one step after another. Imagine that change in acceleration in your emotional state, right? You fucking made it to land. You were just trying to survive in the middle of an ocean, 20 miles, 10 miles off the shore, constantly pulling the water, past you. And finally getting to that place where you're not going to die. I mean, physiologically, your body does this at least somewhat, a little bit, while you're swimming. It's like, bro, we're increasing these, I don't know, what are they, endorphins? All of these transmitters and whatever to help get you to the side, the adrenaline stuff. And when you get on that side, the change, boom, hits you like a train. And you feel it. Sometimes And the reason I share this is because I feel like I'm going to be way more okay with nothingness. I talked about this in the video. Nothingness is always something, you know. And with emotion, you may be seemingly not really feeling much of anything, but your general existence, the chemistry inside yourself, experiencing something, obviously. Dopamine's still being released in some way, some level, some amount over time, some rate, you know. That's normal. It's wild to me. It's incredible how normalized people get and how quickly it happens. Um, everybody, the vast spectrum of human experience on this planet, wealthy luxury in some places, desert droughts in others, sun that'll scallop your skin. I don't know. Messing with alliteration. Um, Jungles that'll jerk you off with a million insects. To every person who's lived there normally, it's normal. Their experience of that is normal. However, from one person moving from, let's say, the ultra wealthy, everything's white, everything's clean, into the ultra dirty, you might get sick the first day you're there, that's a huge change, and you're going to feel it. Even though this person has their normal in their area, people have their normal in their area. It's normal. They're good. you know but that change is what we experience, is what we feel. That's the feel is in the change. Just like musically, for fuck's sake, people, this is going to converge even more and more. Musically, if you listen to life, it always changes. Life is in constant change. Life has music to it. It has a feeling based upon the change of its states of existence. Our physical states of existence inside ourselves, around ourselves, with ourselves, together, wholesomely, the experience of our life changes all the time. So there is always a foundational origin of feeling for us to listen to, for us to observe, and musically, for us to reflect and show and express that we have this connection to the root of our existence. That's what musical improv is. And that's probably what improv is as a whole, comedically, or improvisational acting, They all probably come from a very similar foundation, a very similar mechanism of listening and reflecting. So, as you come to see, and I say this with great confidence because this is something that I've been working on for years. I mean, my whole life I've been listening, all right? I wasn't a musician. I didn't listen to music. I didn't search for music until I was like 16, 17 years old. I didn't listen to radio music. I didn't, this, that. I didn't mess with it. For some crazy reason, life gave me a guitar at 20. Okay, and the fruit of my listening is continuing to be developed, and I'm gonna be giving you guys some amazing fucking fruit. Okay, you guys are gonna bite into that apple and just be like, oh my god, golden nectar. Like, I am so excited. I am so excited for the development to continue. And I say this with great happiness. I say this coming out of a time in my life where I was feeling really down, really close to death, and then I found and started respecting my own worth to myself, how I feel about myself, what I'm doing, what I see as possible for my future. I feel like it's great, I feel it for myself. I reflect upon it, and I respect it, and I feel that change now. I feel that coming out of this trough of just fucking uncertainty, man. Just what is life? And now I feel really good, right? And this transformation is like a musical feeling, okay? And I'm kind of giving you guys a musical just by speaking it, expressing the feeling, reflecting upon the changes in my life. And it's coming out in this way. It would come out in this way, I mean, technically only in this way, through only this means, my past experiences coming into now. However, everyone could be musically aligned with their life if they listened to their entire nature to the best of their ability. At least, ever increasingly, they would get better at this. More natural, more authentically reflective of the truth inside themselves. And therefore, I believe now, currently, again, this is just based out of observation of my own life and what I observe from around me. I've observed that the better flow with one's own nature, the better flow with the nature around them. And I don't mean in the trees, I mean in this chaotic monkey mess, the rat race around us as well. I'm living in the craziest place in my life right now. A busy intersection with a lot of confusion right outside my doors. Horns honking, a train a block away. It shakes the house. This house is literally slanted. It's crooked. It's over a century old. But I'm as happy as I've ever been. I'm as developed as I've ever been. I'm as excited about the future as I've ever been. And this is something that anyone can experience at any time. It's just a matter of letting the here and there come and go. I just mean like it exists. Sometimes it is that trough, and you got to be there. Otherwise, you're just gonna keep soaking in that garbage. Like if you're in a pool of quicksand, you're stuck down in that shit state that you're in. Just float in it, sit in it for a minute. You'll get the things that you need to know to create that ladder out of there and find the staircase, so to speak. Just beautiful, And I believe everybody can be beautiful. I mean, think about the nature of beauty. This is funny. From my observations again, it seems as though we say something is beautiful if it hits home to our nature, our ability to appreciate that it's natural. Okay, so a child is beautiful, right? A mountainscape is beautiful. What is beautiful? Art is beautiful. But what is art? Art is just balance. Art is just, a reflection of the experience of life, really, as a whole. The experience of life is completely natural. So, again, I didn't do this out of my own, idea, out of this guy has fucking hair, and 3 years ago I'm talking, let's put some hair on this dude, let's get this little fucking goatee thing. No, I was not considering what beauty would be like for me in a mental way. I was just aligned with my own nature and respectfully saying that I'm a pretty beautiful dude, And I didn't get there out of my own mental planning. That's what I'm trying to say. I got there out of following my senses of what I know to be beautiful for myself. My genes are not this face with this stuff. I mean, I look a little bit different than my family, right? But the fucking chin scratch, whatever it is, that one feeling that gets me to be like a fox and just... I started growing some hair right here. I don't know. Life is weird. DNA is weird, man. The way our DNA gets activated, the quote-unquote junk DNA, all of that stuff is really weird. It's weird, man. Life changes and we can change. We literally do change all the time. And this time in my life, again, think for yourself, of course, but I'm saying this for my own self at this point. Nature is beautiful. and we can all be natural. Therefore, we can all be beautiful. You know, if you get your mind out of your ass, I'll say it a different way. If you just get out of your thoughts for a minute and not judge one thing to be good or bad, like a serial killer, you know, generally a lot of people would say that that's a bad thing. However, I would see it as absolutely beautiful if it was their true nature, for some wicked, wicked reason, to do the things they did. If they were themselves, it would likely turn out to be quite a beautiful thing in general, just in general, without the reflection upon our societal norms, our values, our cultural tendencies, our cultural experiences in our history, you know, what we've defined to be good and bad. Nature is nature. Are you going to say that a lion eating its baby is bad? Okay, maybe from a human, we reflect and say, oh, we need to survive, so we need our babies, so obviously killing our babies is not survival, so therefore it's bad. Well, there's something in the lion's nature that just did that. You know, that happens. Many different animals and insects and things of that nature eat their relatives for some reason. You know, and so who is a serial killer? Maybe they were just the ones who took it to their own nature to that degree. You know, in a way, that is overcoming a beautiful challenge. Think about it. A serial killer, and I say this with respect, you know, just general respect for everybody's uniqueness. A person who is a serial killer is getting combatanted. There's a combat going on between them and life around them, because everybody's saying don't be a serial killer, you know. Imagine that life. It is a greatly challenging life. By the nature of our own defining words, it's a great life to some extent. And with a lowering of good and bad, and just a general respect of neutrality, and a general respect of the natural spectrum of all things. It's like a bell curve. There's a normal, and there's outliers. There's always going to be. That's the nature of a spectrum of possibility. And humans fill that, right? Just like any other natural entity, just like any other existence in life, like the color spectrum, you know, right? The wave spectrum outside of visual light. It's a spectrum. We experience things based on this normalcy. We know normalcy, and we know the feelings that pull us from and in and out of normalcy. You know, by the nature of our definition of incredible, credited, to give credit to, a serial killer is generally incredible life. Right? If you pay attention to how you experience life, you pay attention to the language use, words become pure. The way you express life and describe it becomes pure to such a degree where it will click in other people's experiences, because if you can experience the natural, if you can transform and transfer to the other person the natural experience of words, they will experience it as truth and not as this weird twist on the word, right? Many of us twisting words, like, you know, trying to fit things when it really just doesn't fit. And I'm not perfect at this. It's one of my life, like my life processes, is to reflect upon language, reflect upon expression, and be as precise as possible, as respectful as possible to the nature of experience itself, right? And that's mostly, again, just to reflect upon these videos, that's mostly why I focus on getting a better audio device and not really worry about the video, because audio, music, it's a vibration that literally gets its way into your whole existence. Sound is, you know, a big bass drum will hit you, right? Visuals is a little different. Hearing is, smell is different. you know. Sound you can actually like almost touch. So if you use your words in a beautiful way, in a way that connects naturally, you're literally touching the souls, the hearts, the minds, the existence itself of another person. It's very direct. Again, and that's why I just encourage, just be your truthful self. You yourself alone know that only for yourself. And therefore, again, your words, I say this with great respect. My words, your words, are really ultimately for yourself. Someone might be able to experience your word reflect, but that reflection is an internal process, and it's for themselves. And they take the words in their own way. And in my opinion, if you speak naturally, and it hits home to everybody's nature uniquely, some beautiful, a Nobel Prize author I was listening to was saying that a good story is read differently by everybody. You know, a good speech is heard differently by everybody, right? It connects home, it connects to the root of everybody's uniqueness, uniquely. And again, this is why I just advocate for nature. It's so simple, like it's so beautiful, it's so obvious, but people in their minds are just so clever, you know? And oh man, I don't know. With all that being said, I respect that I don't know. That a change might occur tomorrow, turns my life upside down. It's still something. You know? There's always something. Nature is beautiful. But just be yourself, you know? Like, get out of your head. You know, there's definitely, I'm sure, some people that really are just happy with working at a gas station or happy working at a grocery store and doing their 9 to 5 and coming home and doing whatever they got to do, you know? And they might feel bad about themselves because they see all these other people having these dreams and aspirations and shit, when their own nature might just be, let's be the functioning gear of society, you know? Some people are the lube, some people are the gear, some people are the rods, some people are the atmosphere around it, you know? And get out of your mind. Your mind can think anything. If a baby had a mind, it could be a serial killer. Okay? It could think up scenarios it could think up scenarios of great slicing and dicing. Okay? The mind is not gonna be the truth. The ultimate truth of ours. Just one piece. Just by the nature of our whole existence. Think about this. Our mind is only one thing. How could it be the whole thing? Why would you live your life completely out of your mind? It's absolutely limited by the nature of itself. The mind is only one thing. Sure, greatly powerful in calculating, you know, things. Lots of things, in fact. But you're not going to be your whole self. You're not going to make use of your whole self. You're not going to be natural. You're not going to be at ease with your nature, with your existence, your whole thing around you and with you, inside of you, if you don't use everything. That's the nature of being unlimited. That's where like the enlightenment state is, to be your wholeness. Maybe the only way you can transform into the wholeness of the rest is to be the wholeness of yourself. So there's actually a relatable bridge. Maybe that's what enlightenment is, you know? Logically, reasonably, it kind of seems somewhat possible. Still observing, right? These are just ideas in the now. But if they make sense, you know, feel it out. Keep feeling it out. If it's senseful, literally, just feel it out. That's all you have to do. Exist with it, feel it out, keep going, because the feelings keep going. There's life for you. All of a sudden, you're dead. I mean, as funny as it is, I'm making a joke out of it right now. But it can be beautiful. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to say with the collection of all my videos. It's just that you can be beautiful. Like, even if you're missing a fucking tooth. Maybe part of your beauty is to recognize you're missing a tooth and make a joke out of it, and then all of a sudden everybody's laughing. That's beautiful. You used your nature, to be beautiful, to be natural. And you don't have to be that fucking tip of the mountain, There's only one tip of the mountain. Imagine the peak of a mountain without everything underneath. There'd be no mountain. It's hilarious. It would be something you could walk up to and stomp into the ground. It would be nothing. The peaks of mountains would be absolutely nothing without the huge amount of everything else, both spaciously around itself and as a landmass underneath it, supporting it. Just be your place in time. Like, reflect upon the nature. It's truly easy and also incredibly difficult. I'll give you a lot of credit because it's difficult. You're incredible. But the nature of existence is easy. It just happens. Most of it is unconscious if you just think about it. We mentally might be aware of this feeling right now, but guess what? Are you smelling? Are you hearing? Let's say I'm looking at my things here. Are you paying attention to the fact that your lungs and your belly is rising and falling? And are you paying attention to the billions, literally trillions, I think it's trillions. I mean, I know there's 1 million cells die every single second. Are you paying attention to those million events? No. Now, if you think of it just as a basic mathematical calculation, we are less than 1% conscious of our existence, or at least mentally aware. We can only be mentally aware of like 1 to 5 things at a time, as shown through studies, as just do it yourself. So essentially, unconsciousness is a truth. It exists. It is part of our life, unconsciousness. It's part of nature. You really just got to show up. I mean, if you be your nature, you just got to do it. It comes down to that. Just show up, exist, feel, learn, reflect, be yourself. Maybe it's not to learn and reflect. Maybe it's to explode in anger and punch a hole in the wall because you don't understand and it's overloading yourself and all of that. I don't know where that's going to lead, but it's beautiful because it's true. Okay? It's true for you. I don't care. Do what you got to do. Hopefully you respect other people enough to not bring your own damage into other people's lives, but spectrums do wish and wash about each other, so nature. I'll fight for nature. That's like, if I run to be a president, it's for nature. It's for the entirety of all existence, this whole planet as an ecosystem, connecting all humanity, every single nation. I put a quote in my Patreon page of something like, we need to connect as nature, not as nations. Nations are always going to be different than each other. But the nature of us, if you see it globularly as a globe, I wanted to say that, we are one ecosystem with this planet. And we affect many different things, right? That's what I'm trying to say, is we affect almost everything else. We have great responsibility, and it should not be disrespected, So nature is kind of the thing, Vegans say, like, we are the voice for the voiceless, the animals that don't have a voice. But the funny thing is there's a voice inside of ourselves that is speaking all the times, and many of us don't even listen to it. So in a way, I'm trying to be a voice for the voiceless inside of ourselves, to show that there is actually a voice going, hey, listen to me. This is something that's here. Hey, listen, look it. Do you smell that? Oh, hey. It's just existence, Knowing that there is a space invites nature to fill it. Wherever anything can exist, it will exist. If you can create something inside yourself, a space inside yourself, your intuition will fill it. It's great. That's going to be it. I'm just so thankful and grateful for everybody right now. And for you especially watching. The views on the videos are, I don't care right now. I love the nature of myself, and I love the people that respect their own natures, and this video is for you. This video is for the truly curious, because that's really all it fucking takes, man. Open curiosity. That doesn't mean you're going to go try everything. Our nature has a uniqueness. I've been experiencing an open curiosity about drugs, but part of my own natural boundary is that I don't want to experience things that aren't psychologically effective, that don't change my psychology a little bit, because that's something that's been interesting to me, is when perspective changes and things like that. Some drugs just don't mentally change you that much. Okay? That's kind of where my bridge is. Everybody has a different expanse. And don't be afraid of that. Doing one thing is usually not the end of the world, okay? If you just weigh the risks and rewards. If we're talking about drugs here, you gotta be careful, obviously. They're not always what they are said to be, right? Which would be great if it was what they said they are. Let's just say if they were controlled substances instead of oh my god, is controlled substance, isn't that like the list, isn't it? Well, if they were respected as I don't know, the war on drugs is a failure. That's what I'm trying to say. We would have safe drugs. We would have safe experimentation with life if we would just respect it as just generally okay. Like, good Lord, man. People can experience or explore or experiment their own consciousness. Do you know what experimenting does? Experimenting is learning. There could be something from one random whack job tripping on this one thing for a week straight. He's the only guy to fucking do it because he's that crazy. Somehow discovers that, this one thing in the body reacts this way, but only after the super high dose of this, that. If we let our natural spectrums play with all possibility, respectfully, equally, safely, coordinated, just respectfully, we would advance much more quickly. Those crazy dudes, sometimes the scientists are not crazy enough, quote unquote, to do the crazy shit. And sometimes it's just that one dude, he might even die from the experience, the experiment. Okay, but we learned from that, did we not? So that's like, just let people play. Play is where we learn. And it's just unfortunate when it can't be, totally flowy. But nature can work with that. Even my own nature. See, I respect that as a part of life. My nature hits that wall and, like a fluid, just kind of wiggles around it and does what it has to do with the space it's given. The space in this world at this point is not a space where I'd go out there and start talking about legalize all drugs, legalize. I'm not going to do that, okay? My nature doesn't work with the space in that way. Yeah. I really wanted to get these thoughts out, these feelings out, because I know how valuable ideas are. That one idea about emotion, the feelings of emotion being an acceleration, kind of like an acceleration event, while emotions themselves are just basic general velocity. It's just wild. It blows my mind. It's beautiful. It, like, blows my mind apart. Like, that's part of the beauty of getting your mind blown, is that you can't even think about it because it's just elsewhere. Like, your whole nature is taking over you and your mind is blown. You can't even exist with that. It's just you know. I know, like, ideas are hugely valuable if if you're that kind of person. And I know these videos, I know you guys, those kind of people. That's why you're watching. And I'm thankful that we can come together and experience these sorts of things. And with that, it's the end of the video, and I just got to mention, of course, if you do find ideas helpful and you do get some value from me and my ideas and my sharing things and whatever, obviously Patreon is a great, and I don't get paid very much for these kind of videos, but the effect on you as a creator might be very valuable. I know an idea for me might mean an investment in the future that's worth thousands and thousands of dollars more than it would be without the idea previously. So, ideas are kind of like an investment that you have to nurture a little bit. Live with it, see where it goes, learn from it. Then you get your own thing, right? An idea is an inspiration to your own experimentation and further experience and result of some sort of truth within yourself. And therefore you know yourself just a little bit more than you did previously. And I think that's beautiful, and that's what I love sharing with you, is that inspiration, the intuition, and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. I love it. Love you guys.